Welcome to the Shaping Portsmouth podcast. Shaping Portsmouth is a collaboration of key Portsmouth businesses transforming Portsmouth together.
Hello and welcome to this podcast from the Digital Resilience Programme at Shaping Portsmouth. My name is Lisa Gibbs and I am an insurance broker at Philip Gibbs Insurance Brokers. And joining me today on this podcast is Dave Humphries.
Hello.
Hi Dave, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So Dave is the CEO at Shaping Portsmouth, and today we're going to be talking about the Digital Resilience Programme in general, what it is, what it's about, what we do and why we do it. So Dave, do you want to tell us where you think the Digital Resilience Programme fits in with Shaping Portsmouth's mission of transforming Portsmouth together?
Yeah, sure. So cybercrime poses significant challenges globally to businesses, not just locally in Portsmouth, but everywhere, and not just businesses, charities as well, and individuals. But certainly the impact of cybercrime on a business, just in terms of the cost of responding to a cybercrime incident, dealing with the fallout from that and the threats that might pose to a business, and then even subsequently issues around regulatory compliance following things like an ICO investigation and fines that could be levied following a cyber incident could be really costly to a business. So cybercrime is a very real threat to the whole business economy, and as such the economy of the city as a whole. So it's really, really important to support businesses with this because it does help businesses thrive and survive. It is a bigger threat than people often realise.
Absolutely, I completely agree. In my role day to day as an insurance broker, I see this from the risk management angle, so I can see what those costs are to businesses when they have incidents and related claims and things like that. So that's a podcast, another episode we're planning to do all on its own, the costs to an SME, like you said, ICO fines, solicitor fees. There are lots of different directions cyber incidents can go to, and the related costs to those can vary.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we just focus in on our business pillar and those programs within it that are largely all grouped together around supporting particularly small businesses, and this is just one element of trying to help those small businesses that might not have thought of this. But when people come to us through the Portsmouth Business Support Service asking for support and help, it is invariably around cash flow, marketing, that sort of stuff. People don't walk through the door and ask for help in relation to cyber resilience or even GDPR, which is a very close link to this. So people need to understand that there are a number of elements, and it's really easy to look at it just as prevention against cyber threats, and what might happen, especially when you've got increasing sophistication of attacks and the routes that people use to get in, and people not realising that Wi-Fi enabled equipment is now a route into your computer system as a business. There's all sorts of challenges, but if the worst happens and you're subject to a cyber incident, there's a whole host of other factors that range from first off, business continuity. If you lose access to your systems, your customer database, etc., you've got big business continuity issues. There's that financial impact of how do you protect revenue, the ability to take money out of the business virtually. And then, of course, there's a massive issue around your reputation management. If you're a small business trying to build trust with your customer base, losing personal data and key data has a massive knock-on effect. And then, of course, that links into the GDPR bit. what the Information Commissioner's Office are then going to look at in terms of what you had in place beforehand and whether they hit you with a fine as a result of that. So there's some huge issues around cyber resilience for small businesses, hence why it's so important for us to be in this space.
Yeah, I agree. The repercussions can be far-reaching, and sadly, some SMEs won't recover from a cyber incident. And we know that there are some, facts and figures around that, which we're going to be looking into as a programme. But I'd like to go back to something you said about businesses when they're first starting or when they're approaching the business support programme. They don't walk through the door asking for help on GDPR, asking for help on cyber resilience and things like that. And I completely agree. I see that all the time, because it's not a first thought normally, is it? When you're building your business or when you're starting a new business, you're focusing on your trade or your product or your service, because that's the thing you need to get right first. But our message as a programme would be to also consider your risks. And one of those would be cyber risks and digital threats.
Absolutely. And you, as an insurance broker, must see exactly the same thing in terms of when people are looking at what insurances they need, whether they consider the impacts of things like that and any specialist insurance they need around it.
Absolutely. Insurance is a minefield on its own. There's all sorts of business insurances available. So what we do with our clients is talk them through what their risks are, help them identify them. We quite often say to businesses now that you're more likely to have a cyber incident than you are to have a fire. But businesses are very much focused on their building insurance and their contents and their stock, that sort of thing, which is great, and so they should be. But there are these other risks as well, like cyber insurance. So we always, absolutely talk it through with them. So we have a lot of the digital resilience program has a lot of synergy with other programs in the business pillar. You mentioned the business support as well. Which of the other programs do you think there's synergy with?
Yeah, we've got a number of programs that all revolve around business support. So there is the Portsmouth Business Support Service is where we're looking at that piece around particularly small businesses and increasing the sort of survive and thrive rate in the city. So Portsmouth is a great place for starting businesses. We see a lot of businesses starting in the city. Last year it was 920 new businesses registered within the city. And that's not including sort of sole traders, etc., that weren't registered. So, but we also have our really high turnover. So the business support service and the suite of programs around it are all designed to help with that kind of survive and thrive rate. So we've got the digital resilience, we've got workplace wellbeing, we've got the Carbon 360, are all offerings to particularly small businesses that don't have the capacity to provide those functions for themselves. And we can put people in touch with the necessary experts to help them. So, you would be one example around specialist insurances. There is also lots of other partners that link in different ways. So that whole group makes up our business support offering. And, as we've already said, it's not just about preventing cyber attacks. It's also about safeguarding a company's assets, its reputation, and their future growth, which is what our business support service is about.
Okay, that's fantastic. I'd like to tell our listeners a little bit more about the digital resilience program as well. It's not a new program. It's been around for a little while. It's gone through a few name changes as well. It started off as the cyber crime program, but we've more appropriately renamed it digital resilience, because that's one of the aims of the program, is try and keep the conversations going with local business owners, specifically SMEs, but also charities, about building their resilience. And you mentioned earlier as well about what to do if you have a cyber incident, have a plan in place already. So things around that. We've got all sorts of resources available, haven't we, on the Shaping Portsmouth website, which is shapingportsmouth.co.uk. So do go and have a look at those. All sorts of short articles, explainer articles, what multi-factor authentication is, what phishing emails are, what to do if you receive one, or what to do if you think you've been a victim of cybercrime, that sort of thing. So there's all sorts of things on there. And of course, this brand new podcast that we've been putting together, which is fantastic. We'd love to invite local business owners to come onto the podcast and talk to us about their challenges, what's working for them, what isn't working for them when they're trying to build a good, strong cyber culture within their business and cybersecurity and things like that. So if any of our listeners do have any queries or any specific questions that you'd like the digital resilience team to answer, then please do get in touch with Shaping Portsmouth and let us know. The programme is supported by people from the IT industry, from the university, from the council, local police force as well, and myself, I bring the risk management element to it because I see what happens to businesses after a cyber incident. So really that's what the programme is about. We attend events and talk to business owners and produce all those articles and resources as well.
Yeah, definitely. And so what people might not realise, so I've mentioned obviously that you're an insurer. So you're one of our fantastic Shaping Portsmouth patrons.
Thank you very much.
And as well as that, you are also volunteer programme lead for our business digital resilience. It's great that you're involved in both supporting us as a patron and leading one of our programs, but also around you, as you've already detailed, you've got quite a strong team. It's quite well established, this program, in terms of the support, even going as far as linking into the university civic partnership and the assistance we've had with student volunteers working on it as well. So through the programme, we've got access to quite a lot of really strong resource now. There's loads of stuff, as you said, published on the website. So loads for businesses to tap into. And it's a great starting place.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of passionate people supporting it from all those places we just mentioned, who are really keen to help business owners navigate this, the threat landscape, which is ever changing, new digital risks and cyber threats all the time. Something new comes along. So if any of our listeners, any business owners do have any questions or need any support, then please do get in touch. We can help you or point you in the right direction. Absolutely.
And there's a valid point there around the ever-changing landscape of cybercrime as a whole. And it's as with all things, the minute you find one way to stop something happening, our friendly criminals will find another way to tap into it and get around that. Or the minute there is a new piece of technology, someone will find a way to exploit that to their advantage. So it is something that is a very much a moving feast. So it's a great way to stay up to date with what's going on by linking into the programme and finding out. And hopefully these podcasts, as they continue to build, will provide that information as well.
We hope so, and that's the aim. And like you said, cybersecurity is very reactive. A new threat comes along, the cybersecurity experts create a way to tackle it. But there are proactive things small business owners can do as well to prevent, protect their businesses. So we'll definitely be talking about all those on our podcasts. Well, thank you very much, Dave, for joining me. That brings us to the end of this episode. We'd like to thank our host, Spark Community Space, for letting us use their amazing podcast room and for recording facilities. So if you'd like to know more about Spark, you can visit their website. But thank you very much for listening, and please look out for our next episode.
This podcast was brought to you by Shaping Portsmouth, working to make Portsmouth the #1 UK city in which to invest, live, learn, work and visit. To find out more, please visit shapingportsmouth.co.uk. This podcast was supported by Spark Community Space.